Okay, so today we are going to be rating the Travelers. Specifically the Travelers. I don't ignore all these other characters here, it's just from a pre-made list. But these 5 strapping young lads are going to be rated on this very short and very basic scale. We want to talk about all the different Travelers throughout the history of Genshin so far, in preparation for the next Traveler coming out in a few months, when 5.0 finally drops, which we're expecting, we got probably about 3 or 4 more patches before then. We're going to be... Hold on. Well, the plan is, we're going to rate all the Travelers now, and down the line, we're going to keep on testing all these Travelers and see if our ratings change. And just down below me right now, you can see the YouTube chat hanging out with me. Say hi, YouTube chat, you're on TV. God, the one time I give you guys permission to spam, not a single bit of spam. I'm disappointed. Disappointed! Okay. So we're going to start with the quintessential Traveler, the Anemo Traveler. This boy right here is the very first character we are gifted when we start playing Genshin Impact. When we get our tutorial, we learn about skills and bursts because of this boy right here. How do we feel about him? Now, he has a lot of stuff going for him. Obviously, being Anemo is very good. Just the fact that Anemo is good. Being able to swirl is good. And when you look at the constellations, they're also pretty decent because you get resistance shred, including a very rare Anemo resistance shred. So you get kind of an interesting thing. So let's see what the chat's saying. What are you guys thinking about this so far? Because I know what I'm thinking. But we're gonna go with the consensus in chat for the most part and see whatever people say. So we get people saying niche, some saying playable. C6 is good, but he blows people away. That is definitely a very big truth. The fact that unlike other Anemo characters that are traditionally very good who pull enemies in, he kind of does the opposite, where he sends them flying away. So we got our poll going right now. Let's see how things go. Ooh, someone jumped into meta right away. They're like, Anemo Traveler's the best in the game. I will not hear anything else. Anime Traveler is unfinished. I don't know if unfinished is right. I don't think he is. I think he's like the first character. So the Anime Traveler will be receiving the niche or barely playable. And I think that's fair. Our second Traveler is the second one that becomes available very early on in the game. I think this one was available like almost day one. And it's of course Geo Traveler. Geo being one of the worst elements by all rights. But because easy access to Geo constructs, generally good for exploration, and also brings again some pretty good constellations into the mix. Plus some half decent scaling. Crit rate stat stick is good. Yeah, he's a crit rate stat stick. He brings a free crit buff to your whole team, which is good. So ultimately, we already see playables. Okay. I see Geo is C. Geo raises crit rate, which is very handy. Same as Anemo. Okay, so that's the current. All right, so it seems like there's some discourse with Geo Traveler, which is interesting. Let's see what the poll says. So looks like off meta is just barely winning on this one. I'm kind of surprised. I actually thought he was going to end up in niche alongside Anemo, but this seems like a pretty reasonable guess. Let's see if that's pretty much most votes. I think that's most votes so far. I'll give it a couple more seconds, but yeah, Geo Traveler. I guess people just really like Geo constructs, right? They want to be able to put down their little Geo ball and just climb up it, right? Off meta because Chiori does breathe some new life into him. I agree with that. Chiori definitely brings a bit of new life into the Geo Traveler, and I think changes, like, gives him something more to do, which is good. I like the burst animation. Punching the ground makes rocks is cool. It gives it a crit area is a good size. Yeah, exactly. Off meta where he belongs. Okay, so that seems like a pretty good, a good vote there. So our boy Geo Traveler is going to the off meta. So now for probably the one I'm expecting to be the most polarizing. Electro Traveler. Electro Traveler was the first new Traveler in a long time, right? People are really excited for the Electro Traveler. And there was a lot of hype around him, because also we were very limited on Electro units at that time, so having a new Electro unit was really exciting. So he ended up being a battery. His whole thing is just generating energy for your whole team, which is inherently quite good. And his constellations reflected that, giving more energy generation to people who weren't him. Now, his obvious downside that he has was that he was a battery that needed his own battery to do his thing. But we'll see what the poll says. I'm noticing a lot of people saying downright bad. Okay, I think I know where this one's going, but let's see. Let's give it a shot. Let's see what the popular opinion is on the Purple Traveler. Dory is better. I have no comment on that, because I like Dory, so of course she is. Well, if we were rating how cool their effects and abilities look, well, then that could be a different conversation, but that's not what we're doing right now. Alright, so I think I'm good to call this one. Poor Electro Traveler gets the very first downright bad. Poor boy, didn't know what hit him. So, next up is the Green Traveler. Dendro Traveler. So Dendro Traveler was a whole new element, and one of the first characters that we got of that new element. And it turns out that Dendro, that new element, is really, really good. Like, in the same category as Anemo, is just being like, it doesn't matter if the character's bad, if they can do that element, they're probably pretty good. Dendro Traveler came out, and he was immediately used a lot. He probably has, like, easily the most use case out of all of them. And all of this, like, you know, just, it's a lot of really good synergies and all that. So, like, I think I know where this one's going, and I'm inclined to agree with it. This one's probably the one freebie of everyone kind of agrees this is the best one. Yeah, still used to this day. Yeah, the Dendro Traveler is still used, right? And a lot of people will hold that Dendro Traveler is better than a lot of the other Dendro characters. Like, when compared to Kale, for example, it's widely agreed that Dendro Traveler is just better than Kale. At least when constellations are not included. Once you start factoring in constellations, it changes that a little bit. People call it for a reason. Well, hell, that's another thing too, right? Dendro Traveler plus Kale, you could just use them both, and that was used. That was a really normal thing. You just use both of them. I think I see where this one's going, though. No a single vote for niche or bad, because everyone is just like, yeah, he's either meta or at worst off meta, and even then, off meta barely got touched. So we're gonna go ahead and throw that one out. Our very first and possibly only meta or very good. This is a wild character. Probably one of the best. Probably the best traveler we're ever gonna get. Now for, I want to see where this one goes. The Blue Traveler, the Hydro Boy. This is a polarizing character because he had a lot of unique and interesting stuff going for him. People were excited for him, and man, was the fall off for him spectacular. So I did a whole video on Hydro Traveler already, and it's still I think it's still my best performing video. I think it's the best video on this channel still. But man, Hydro Traveler is a character of all time. Some would argue he may actually be the worst. And now that we have all of his constellations and everything, I think we can actually, like, really definitively say if that's true or not. So it seems like a couple people are of the mind is like niche at best, but most people are like bad. So let's go ahead and do the poll to get our final answer. This is interesting, though. If you notice, like, we have a clear, like, every traveler has, like, its own tier to themselves. This is the first one that's going to be, like, matched with someone. There's some votes for meta in here, and there's more than one. I'd like some explanation on that. To those who said meta, was this a meme, or was this, like, are you serious? How is this close? Oh my god, it is tied. Well, as it stands right now, Niche actually has the win. I'm shocked that people are putting Hydro above Electro, but you know what? I'm gonna play devil's advocate. I'm gonna agree with them. I'm gonna unironically agree with them. You know what? No. You wanna know why? Because this is the bed. You made your bed, you have to lay in it now. If meta had won, well, I might have had to put him in meta. But no, I'm gonna actually say that, yeah, I think Niche is correct. I think it's worse than Anemo, but I actually think I think he's not as bad. And I'll give you one reason. I'll give you exactly one reason why I think that this is okay. And remember, this is your guys' vote. You did this. This isn't my vote. This is your vote. So, you know, your loss. Think about this, though. You know what Hydro Traveler can do still? Hyper Bloom. And Hyper Bloom is just inherently good. And this is the fact that Hydro can do that with some success. Just, it's in the same vein as a Dendro character. Well, just because the character is Dendro inherently, there's always a use case for them. I see that damn vote. I see those damn meta votes again. You cut that shit out. Yeah, so Niche wins, which is, again, on one hand, I can kind of get it, because Hyper Bloom and Bloom shenanigans exist. But it's interesting, you know? It's interesting to see. So, with that, we're going to put Hydro Traveler in Niche, then. Or not downright bad where I was expecting him to go. So, now the question is for you guys. I'm going to ask you guys one more thing. We're not doing a vote on this one, because there's no need for it. I'm just going to see the general consensus on this one. Do you think he's better or worse than Anemo Traveler? Worse? I'm seeing a lot of worses. I don't see anyone thinking that they're better than Anemo. So, bottom of Niche. Okay. So we are going to do... We're going to come back to this 2 more times, at least. So next time, we're going to go back to this after going full builds and run-throughs and breakdowns of every single Traveler and seeing if opinions have changed on the matter over time and seeing if, like, what our thoughts on it is. And then the second time we're going to come back to this is when Pyro Traveler comes out. And we're going to see how Pyro Traveler fits into this whole concoction as well. And eventually Cryo Traveler as well, but that's quite a long way from now. And if they happen to do some other additional Traveler after Cryo, we'll adjust for that as well. Alright, so I think that's it for this. I'm going to go through this later, edit it all together, edit out all the nonsense in the dead time.